ask me. So this will be a talk for anyone who is on the AI journey and how to do AI not just in a technical sense, but also do it well in an ethical sense. And before I start, I'm going to do something that might annoy some people. And I think that the reason why I'm giving this presentation today is because our team has been working on ethical AI for about 2 years. And I think that's put us in some level of maturity. But as I talk to academics in this space and also the large technology companies, we find that the consensus is that almost as a species, we have a long way to go. So I think no one is actually mature. And so my small edit is I shall just change the word to maturing, and I hope we can learn together on this journey today. So a quick introduction about the company I work for. I work for MSD. Some of you might know it as Merck in the US and Canada. And I work in data science within IT, and I guess within IT we try to use technology to make medicine accessible for people. For myself, I'll be talking about bias, so I thought I'll share with you my own bias. I only have 20 minutes with you today, but I write a lot, and any of you uses the website Quora. I write on Quora, and also if you take back just one thing from today, it is that AI ethics as a discipline is very tricky because it intersects so many different disciplines. I think I've had either the good fortune or the stubbornness to try to work within disciplines. So I've actually went back to school 4 times to study like these different things at the bottom, and that gives me a good perspective. But I find that this perspective is what is very important. We need to be able to work not just business in IT, but also compliance, legal, and ethics as well. So our roadmap for today is this, and I realize in today's day and age, even 20 minutes is a lot of time to pay attention. So the way I've structured it is I'll do like 3 5-minute bites. Firstly, 5 minutes framing the problem, 5 minutes on data, 5 minutes on algorithms, and then I'll try to wrap up in a minute or two. Okay? So if you kind of find yourself drifting off for a bit, drift off and come back, and you'll be able to pick up the next chunk. So recently I was looking at a panel of people talking about AI in large MNCs, and they're trying to find out what's the definition of AI, and there is no consensus, so I will not go there. But the thing that's really useful for us thinking about ethics is this one. On the left, this is very familiar to anyone working in data and analytics. You have this spectrum of descriptive, predictive, prescriptive. Once you hit prescriptive, something actually very interesting happens, is that if you know what's the best thing to do, the question then changes to, well, do you actually need a human to execute? And one of the main drivers of this whole ethics issue is because we have autonomous execution of decisions without a human in the loop. And so this is just one idea I want to leave with you today. You can think of it not as just a better tool. It's not about I'm driving a car, I have a map, now I have a GPS. It's not that. It's like, now I have a car with a driver to a car without the driver. It's not a better tool, it's actually a decision made without the human in the loop. And also I want to talk about adoption very briefly. So I want you to imagine what it would be like when you maybe purchase your first self-driving car. I suspect it will be a lot like this diagram. It will not be, okay, I've gone from 0 to 1, but rather, first I start with, like the LTA speaker just now, first I start with autonomous parking. Then I'll start with self-driving within a very fixed route. Then I have cruise control, and then self-driving with human loop, and finally I have the full self-driving car. So this is the pattern of the way AI systems make its way into our life. It doesn't go from 0 to 1, it kind of sneaks in a little bit at a time. And when we think about how much these systems cost, here's some data from you, and the first thing that jumped out at me is that, well, this is probably not Singapore data because cars don't cost so little in Singapore. But also, it doesn't add up to 100%. In fact, it adds up to only 48%, 52%, because what we have right now is a bit of a crisis of trust in AI systems, where as of 2 years ago, roughly half the population would not adopt an AI system using self-driving cars as a proxy, even if it outperforms human performance. And so, as over the past years, as me and my team have been looking at these issues in AI, we have started mapping them, and we started with 3 dot points, 10 to 5, and 7, and 10, and now this way it looks, and this is also an evolving picture. The way to think about it is if you are a leader of a data science or AI team, you start at the left and there are things that are within your remit. You need to think about model bias and forensics and so on, which is what we are going to be talking about today. But if you are, go a little bit more to the middle, if you are the CEO of a company or you are, or you have some sort of oversight or management, there's a new set of considerations. If you work in a government or in a standards body, you have a new set of considerations at the policy level, and over at the far end, there's a whole bunch of like black swan type issues, which are low probability but high impact, which we can't afford to ignore as well. And right at the end, we have a whole bunch of other things that we require almost like a community to come together to tackle. So today will be more on the left, but if any one of you is interested to explore the other topics as well, please get in touch because I would love to explore them with you together. So this is it. This is my first 5-minute block. 3 things to take away is the AI problem hinging around the autonomous decision making of workers as opposed to just AI as a tool. Second is the kind of insidious way that AI systems mature and the importance of trust. And thirdly, I guess AI ethics and governance has many things to work through. So I'm going to move on to the ethics of data, and this area is a little bit of a legal policy framing. So if any one of you here is a lawyer, please be easy on me. The first data point I want to show you is the gap between those who work in law and policy and a gap of those who implement AI systems. This number is the number of people who take a popular data science course, and of those people, less than 1 in 100 also take the privacy elective. Yeah? So you have this world of like legal regulatory people, and this world of IT, data science, data people, and the overlap is absolutely tiny. And this is one thing that is really concerning and something we need to bridge. The second thing is the constant experience is not so good. This is actually an art installation on the large, I guess the agreements you need to go to scroll through in order to say I agree. I believe the longest one takes 86 minutes to read, and it's from one, I think it's an Instagram one. And so we have a problem with consent because it's a bit legal-centric and not customer-centric. I mean, that's one of the things we need to fix. So coming back to the AI angle, as difficult as the constant experience has been, it gets even worse. Because one of the main pillars of AI, as you've seen in some other presentations, is computer vision. And in computer vision, we are in a world where just by walking down the hallway, your data has been taken, you've been modeled, you've been profiled, and you have no chance even to go through the 86 minutes of consent. So current structures are not really working in this world. And so let me flip over to say, well, what actually can we do about it? And I want to quickly acknowledge the IMDA and people from Facebook, if there's any of you here, on this workshop that we're trying to brainstorm on the future of the consent experience. And it's kind of bringing out the legal world and a bit more into the user experience world. And let me give you 3 tangible examples. Firstly, I want you to imagine a mobile app that you use. And right now, our consent experience is very front-loaded. The first time you log on, you get this like massive front-loaded experience. You tick a box, and then you get all your data forever and ever. Amen. The first alternative is, how about you chop it up? How about, only take my location data for this purpose. I want to give you my address. I want to give you my friends. Only take my friends for this purpose, and so on. Chop it up from front-loaded process to different data for different purposes. That's the first. The second is from flows to snapshots. Right now, when we log on to our phones, we're giving people away a digital exhaust of our location data, and this is a stream. But instead of a stream, you can go to a snapshot. Only at this point that I'm going to use this service, I'll give you a snapshot just that. It's the second one. And the third one is basically the opt-in and opt-out, where you click the default and you start with opt-out rather than opt-in. So imagine if you had control on your Facebook feed, on opting out of certain ways that the feed works on you. That's basically where we're trying to go. And for more detail on that one, we have this ongoing session on recommendation engines and news feeds, which anybody wants to plug into, please come to talk to me. I noticed that from the audience that it's a bit less, I should be a bit lighter on IT. So we actually have, from an IT perspective, many different architectural techniques, many different machine learning, privacy preserving techniques as well. But I think I'll just gloss over them for today. but except to say that it's a very active area of research, and as you implement and scale systems, there are ways to err on the side of privacy. So this is my second chunk. Privacy needs to bridge the gap away from just legal compliance and into the world of people who implement these systems. Secondly, the consent regime needs to be relooked at, especially when we move into age where computer vision algorithms kind of make the consent experience not very feasible any longer. And thirdly, consent itself should be not just legal owned, but also bring in a user-centric, human-centric kind of design. Moving on, I'll talk a bit about algorithms. And I kind of gave this presentation the first time, probably over a year ago for International Women's Day, and I told people who are on their phones and not paying attention to me, why don't you put in CEO into your phones, and then I took a snapshot of what came out. As you can see, it's a very balanced data set, yes, you know, all white, mostly Caucasian, and kind of with one slightly out of place Barbie doll in bottom. And as annoying and offensive as this is, right, it's not so painful yet. The painful thing is, if you are a female and I'm a male, and we were to sit together on like these two chairs now, and we both put in a high-paying job, say CTO, CEO, into Google search, the AdWords, the orange AdWords that's shown to me, pay more than the AdWords shown to you. And it's very statistically significant, and this is a paper that illustrates this. I quite like the quote as well, that it says the moral status of algorithm does not negate its effects on society. So this is how algorithmic bias works, and as we purchase and implement these systems into our workflows, these things start to systematize across our businesses, and this is what we are trying to unwind. I think one of the next talks talks about healthcare, so here's a healthcare example. In healthcare, to diagnose disease, we look at things called biomarkers. If you have like a pale complexion, maybe it's a biomarker for this kind of disease and so on. And so one application of AI is to use the other signals to spot these biomarkers. And this one is the way you speak. So this paper was published and it works really well. It was done in Canada for speakers of English. So depending on the way you speak English, they can pick up whether you have Alzheimer's or not. But in Canada, there are also people whose first language is French. And when French people speak English, they speak it with a certain accent, which was picked up by the machine as French people having Alzheimer's. So this is another application of algorithmic bias gone wrong. So how do you fix this? I'm quite happy to say that among all the different countries, Singapore is actually quite advanced in fixing this. And so if you Google the PDPC, the Personal Data Privacy Commission, we're actually one of the world leaders in having these AI governance frameworks, and that's a great step to start, right? Also, there's this question where, look, I'm a tiny company with like 2 data scientists, and like, you know, my IT is bad, my data is bad, everything is bad, and I'm so sad and so on. How can is it even worth doing a data science team when I have a company like Google and Microsoft doing all these things? And the crux of it is lots of bias comes from the bias in the data. So if you have a local problem that's unique to your company, unique to your country, you need a balanced, curated, and local data set. So at this point, I just want to do a quick video from AI.sg. I'm not sure if there's any AI.sg people, any graduates here. Do a quick wave, yes, no? So this is something that AI.sg has developed, and I'll try to play it. Oops. Guys at the booth, could you help me play the video, please? Try one last time. Hello, guys at the booth. Got this, right? I'm gonna give it maybe another like 10 seconds, and if not, I'll just move on.
我现在很 scared 嘞，有人在打架 ，like there's someone like running away, like he's getting away. And right now, 有很多人在这边，很多人在小兵啦，可以快点来吗？我在多巴尤那边，快点来。 everyone is quite, the scene here is very noisy.
Yeah, so all I want to illustrate is that you have a local problem, and in this case, it's like the way we talk, code switching different languages, and this is something that you need like a local data set to train your AI models on. If not, you'll not be able to work. If I were to plug in like a Google service, they'll probably not be able to do as well as a local data set. So the first step to mitigating AI bias is to have local curated data sets. The other question is coming back all the way to the front is to think whether you should actually have a human in the loop for these autonomous decision making or not. There's actually like a whole bunch of questions to assess these things, and I would encourage you to work with your risk management or compliance groups to work through what it means in your organization. But the highest level is like if the severity of harm is high, it's something you don't want to do autonomously. So for instance, things like anything touching like HR or employee data is probably something you might want to think twice about automating that decision. I'll also talk a bit about fairness. Just to let you know, there are about 20 academic definitions of fairness, but the way it plays out is more like this. So I want you to think back to your university days, and I was in com science, and it was like a bit more male than female, engineering more male than female, nursing more female than male, and this is very common in our employee demographics. So imagine you were to build a model where you say, okay, I have an imbalanced data set, but I want to build a hiring algorithm, and please make it fair. What exactly is fair? What exactly is fair? If I have more male and female applicants, does it mean that, okay, I'll take half of you and half of you? Is it like, okay, let me be gender blind and just close my eyes and just do not tell me the gender and let me pick? Does it mean that I'll take like the same number from both genders? Does it mean that I want to be diverse and have equal opportunity? What exactly does it mean to you? It is not a trivial question, and it's not a technical question as well. So these are kind of conversations we need to have to implement these systems. The starting point is actually explainability. So I won't go through this technical part of it, but I hear a lot about black box models, and I think we should know that as of 2016, there has been a lot of advancement and research to make black box models not so black anymore. So if you were to ask a data science today to make a model explainable, he will be able to go pretty far. Let me gloss over like the mechanics of it. But basically, the standard I hold our team to is 3 questions. If an autonomous system is making a decision on, say, my people or for my customers or something like that, 3 questions you can ask is, well, tell me how this model works. Number 2, tell me if I run this model over the entire population of customers, am I treating one segment wrongly? And number 3, for this person, for kind of role number 75, Robin, why do you predict it this way? So these are 3 basic questions that I hope to have embedded into our automated ML processes. And just to predict what the future will look like, I want you to just put all these things together. Number 1, now we have responsibility because you have a human in the loop. Number 2, oh, we did find bias, and oh, we know why. We know the reasons why we have bias as well. And then you have a business leader, a senior business leader, kind of faced with this like kind of thing before him, right? And that will be the world we'll be living very soon. So I think having these conversations go mainstream is something that we need to be prepared for. So yep, in summary, balanced local data sets, conversations of fairness, and models are no longer black boxes as much anymore. In closing, what can you do today? Firstly, there's lots of people interested in data science, not so many in interpreting this output of data, so start with executive education. Number 2, I actually have a full-time position, which is an AI emphasis role, and this is like the job, but rather than talk through the text, let me give you a picture. Basically, we have a bit of a link up till the local and regional organizations, a whole bunch of interfaces with internal teams, as well as the person embedded in data science to kind of do a technical level implementation of responsible AI. And finally, I started out this presentation by saying that the overlaps and intersections is where the tricky part is, and these are at the bottom, you see the kind of teams that we work with. in implementing these systems, and I think you should start these conversations today. What you see here is the process that I hope our team will go towards, and we are maybe about halfway there, 2/3. But it's very much a team sport, and I would recommend that you start talking to these stakeholders today. Yep, the three things: decision makers and AI ethics as a role, as well as talk to other stakeholder groups. If any one of you wants to plug into this conversation, I recently spoke to an NGO group where they had a very active forum on AI ethics, and anyone interested, please come and speak to me. And so my closing thought is, AI ethics is not something you can buy. You need to practice. You need to implement. And we often talk a bit about optimizing towards a certain kind of world, but we don't think so much about the world we are optimizing for, and that's what we need, the balance we need to have. And finally, right now, we are in a fairly early stage of AI story, and all of you have a chance to steer the direction it goes as well. That's all I have today. Thank you very much.